Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating part of India's tax system, a place where some income is completely and totally legally tax-free. We're going to find out exactly how and, more importantly, why this happens.
So let's start with a bit of a thought experiment. What if you could earn money that was, for all intents and purposes, invisible to the tax authorities? I'm not talking about hiding it. I mean, it's just not even required on your tax return. Well, in India, that's not a hypothetical at all. It's a real thing for certain kinds of income.
And this concept has an official name: exempt income. It's money that, by law, doesn't even get added into your total taxable income in the first place. The legal backbone for all this stuff, you can find it in one key place: Section 10 of India's Income Tax Act.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into three main areas. First up, let's talk about the exemptions that act like a personal financial shield, the ones designed to directly help out individuals and their families.
And you'll see some of the most common examples here touch on almost every part of life. You've got agricultural income, a big nod to the backbone of India's economy. You've got scholarships to support education, payouts from life insurance policies to protect families, and even retirement benefits like your gratuity. Each one of these is there for a reason, designed to support a really critical area of your personal finances.
But, and this is a big but, it's not always so simple. It's not just a yes or no. A lot of these exemptions have some complexity hidden in the details, specific conditions that can change the entire picture. And life insurance is a perfect case study for this.
You know, the devil really is in the details here. With life insurance, if a family gets a payout after someone passes away, it's pretty much always exempt. Simple enough? But the rules get a whole lot trickier if you receive the money while you're still alive. See, for newer policies, if your annual premium is more than 10% of the total amount the policy is worth, then that payout could suddenly become taxable. Even the type of policy makes a difference. A keyman policy, where a company insures a super important employee, is treated differently because it's seen as a business asset, not a personal safety net. It just goes to show how specific these rules can get.
Now, after all that complexity, it's kind of nice to see that some exemptions are just incredibly straightforward. The law literally says that scholarships to meet the cost of education are exempt. That's it. It's a super clear policy with a really simple goal. Let's encourage learning by making it a little bit easier on a student's wallet.
All right, so now let's zoom out from you and me to the national level. Because these exemptions are so much more than just personal perks. They are actually powerful levers the government pulls to steer the entire economy.
The best way to think about it is like this. By making a certain business activity tax-exempt, the government is basically hanging up a giant flashing neon sign that says, hey, invest your money over here. It's a strategic move to push money and development right where the country needs it most.
And a classic example of this in action is the Special Economic Zone, or SEZ. These are basically designated areas with their own special business laws, all created for one reason: to be a magnet for foreign investment and to supercharge exports. So how do you get all those businesses to come? You offer them a deal that's pretty much impossible to refuse: a full 100% deduction on profits from exports for their first 5 years. That's an incredibly powerful incentive for any company that's looking to grow.
And this whole strategy goes way beyond just SEZs. The government uses these kinds of targeted exemptions to attract investment into all sorts of critical sectors, from making it cheaper for Indian airlines to lease aircraft to convincing huge global wealth funds to help build India's roads, bridges, and power plants.
So we've looked at how exemptions affect individuals and how they shape the economy. Now we're going to turn to the third major pillar: using the tax code to support organizations that are out there working for the public good. It's a really simple but powerful idea. By giving tax-exempt status to organizations with charitable, religious, or scientific missions, the government is making sure that more of their money goes directly toward that mission, instead of going to the taxman. So who actually benefits from this? Well, the list is huge. We're talking about everything from major national funds like the PM Cares Fund, all the way to scientific research groups, nonprofit hospitals, and even your local municipal government. The goal here is pretty clear: strengthen the very fabric of society.
Okay, so we've seen how these exemptions touch everything from our personal savings to national industry. So let's pull all the way back and look at the big picture. What's the real underlying logic that connects all these different pieces? It really all boils down to a clear 3-step playbook. First, the government decides on a goal it wants to achieve. Second, it creates a tax exemption as a financial reward. And third, That reward shapes how people and companies behave. It's this powerful feedback loop that's used to steer the country's development in a certain direction.
So, what's the bottom line here? Tax exemptions are so much more than just a way to save a bit of money. They are a primary tool for governing, a way for the government to actively shape society and the economy. When you look at it that way, the tax code isn't just a boring set of rules. It's actually a blueprint for a nation's priorities.
And all of this leaves us with a fundamental challenge. I mean, these incentives are clearly powerful tools for making progress, but at the same time, they add all these layers of complexity to the tax system. So the ultimate question for any government is, how do you balance these targeted goals with the need to have a system that feels simple and fair for everybody? It's a huge balancing act, and one that's definitely worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.